Hey everyone! Today we're diving into the idea of Asian culture. But what if I told you there's really no such thing? We're about to see why the real story of Asia is so much more complex and honestly way more interesting than just a single label. So let's start with a quick question for you. When I say the word Asia, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? Maybe it's a type of food, a famous building, or a certain kind of music. Whatever it is, just kind of hold that thought because we're about to blow it wide open. First off, let's just try to get our heads around the sheer size of this place. We're not just talking about a big continent, it is the biggest. Over half of every single person on Earth lives here. So with more than 4.5 billion people, is it even possible for all of them to share one single Asian culture? That's the big question we're tackling. And that gets us to the real story. We're often taught to think about continents as these neat, tidy boxes. But the truth about Asia is that it's a place that's really defined by its incredible diversity. I mean, geographically, it's actually one giant landmass with Europe. And culturally, so many of its people have completely separate histories. This quote right here from Texas State University, it absolutely nails the key idea for this whole explainer. And to really see how deep this diversity goes, we're going to zoom in on just one part of Asia, Southeast Asia. It's the perfect example of how difference, not sameness, tells the real story. So where's the first place we see this incredible variety? Well, let's start with faith and religion. Southeast Asia isn't just home to one or two major religions. It's more like a vibrant, colorful mosaic of a whole bunch of different beliefs, all living side by side. I mean, just look at this list. We've got almost every major world religion packed into this one corner of the globe. You've got Islam, Hinduism, multiple kinds of Buddhism, Christianity, not to mention philosophies like Taoism and Confucianism. This isn't just a simple mix. It's one of the most religiously diverse places on the entire planet. And this table just shows how dramatic those differences are. I mean, these are countries that are right next to each other. In the Philippines, more than 80% of people are Roman Catholic. But just hop over to Thailand, and suddenly 93% are Buddhist. Then go south to Indonesia, and it's 87% Muslim. And then you have Vietnam, where a huge majority of people don't identify with any organized religion at all. They're neighbors, but their spiritual worlds are completely different. Okay, here's a fact that might actually surprise you. When you think of the country with the largest Muslim population, you'd probably guess somewhere in the Middle East, right? Well, you'd be wrong. The country with more Muslims than any other on Earth is right here in Southeast Asia, Indonesia. It's just a great reminder that our assumptions about different parts of the world can often be way off. All right, so we've seen how diverse the religions are. Now let's talk about the people themselves, because the mix of different ethnic groups and languages here is just as complex, if not more so. Let's start with a country like Cambodia. Now, in some ways, Cambodia is a bit of an exception in the region because it's pretty unified culturally speaking. Over 97% of the population belongs to the Khmer ethnic group, and that same percentage is Buddhist. So here you really do have one dominant culture. Now, let's compare that with Indonesia. This country is made up of literally thousands of islands, and it's home to hundreds of different ethnic and language groups. That pie chart for ethnicity is just overflowing with different slices. You've got the Javanese, the Sundanese, and so many others. It's a completely different world from Cambodia. And the story just keeps changing from country to country. Look next door in Malaysia, and you see yet another model. It's a truly multi-ethnic society, with large populations of Malay people, Chinese people, and indigenous groups all making up big chunks of the population. This creates a really unique cultural blend that you just won't find anywhere else. And finally, check out Singapore. It's this tiny island nation, but it is an absolute powerhouse of diversity. You have major Chinese, Malay, and Indian populations all living together. And if you look at the charts for language and religion, they're incredibly varied, showing just how many different cultures are coexisting in one small spot on the map. Okay, so you have to be wondering, how did this happen? How did one region of the world become so incredibly diverse? Well, it wasn't by accident. It's the result of some really powerful forces throughout history that connected Southeast Asia to the rest of the world and changed it over thousands of years. There's actually a pretty cool term that explains how this works. It's called spatial diffusion. It sounds a little academic, but all it really means is the way things, like ideas, inventions, or even entire cultures, spread out from one place to another. You can almost think of it like dropping a pebble in a pond and watching the ripples expand. Well, Southeast Asia has been at the center of a lot of those ripples.
You can think about it like different layers of history being stacked one on top of the other. So the first layer was these ancient migrations of peoples that established the earliest cultures. Then the next big layer was trade. The region became this bustling crossroads for sea trade, connecting India, China, and the Arab world. And along with spices and goods, guess what else traveled? Ideas, religions, and beliefs. That's how Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam arrived. And then much later, you get a final layer of European colonization, which added even more languages and customs to the mix.
So, after looking at all of this, the different religions, the different peoples, the history, what's the big idea? What's the main thing we should take away from all this?
Here it is. The whole idea of one single unified Asian culture, it just doesn't work. To even try to define one is to completely miss the point. The real, true story of Asia, and especially Southeast Asia, is its diversity. The one thing that actually connects this whole vast continent is the fact that it's made up of countless different, vibrant, and unique cultures.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. When we look at a place that has been shaped for centuries by different peoples, different religions, and different ideas all living together, what can that teach us about our own world, which is getting more and more connected every single day?